There's a stretch of abandoned railroad deep in the pine woods of Arkansas, a place where the trees seem to breathe and the silence feels alive. Locals say that if you stand still long enough and if the air is just right, you'll see it. A strange glowing light floating in the distance. It's not from a phone or a car or a flashlight. It moves on its own, hovering, dancing, like a lantern carried by something not quite human. They call it the Gurdon Light. For decades, it has haunted the quiet town of Gurdon, Arkansas. Flickering blue, white, and sometimes orange, the light appears in the middle of nowhere, with no clear source, no electricity, and no explanation. But this is not just a local ghost story. It's a mystery that has drawn in scientists, thrill-seekers, and paranormal investigators for generations. Gurdon is a small, forgotten railroad town surrounded by thick forests and dirt roads. Once a thriving hub for timber and train workers, it now feels like a place left behind by time. The train tracks that once brought life to the town are now rusted and buried beneath weeds. But some say the town itself has never let go of what happened here, especially the old tracks. People who visit the area often report strange feelings. The deeper you go into the woods, the quieter everything becomes. No birds, no wind, just the crunch of your footsteps on gravel and the eerie sensation that someone is walking beside you. Some swear they've heard whispers on the tracks, soft, unintelligible murmurs that vanish when you try to follow them. The origins of the Gurdon Light trace back to a real tragedy. In 1931, a railroad worker named Will McClain was found dead near the tracks. Not just dead, murdered. He had been beaten and left to die in the cold night. His body was discovered the next morning by co-workers, twisted and broken beside the railway. McClain was an honest, hard-working man, but his death wasn't accidental. It was deliberate. His head had been bashed in with a railroad spike maul, a heavy tool used by trackmen. The blow was so violent, so personal, that even experienced officers were disturbed by the scene. Blood was splattered along the wooden beams for nearly 10 feet. After a brief investigation, the killer was identified as another railroad worker named Will "Slim" Blackburn. The motive? A heated dispute over job security and overtime shifts. Blackburn was said to be jealous, angry, and deeply unstable. Witnesses claimed he had been mumbling to himself for days before the attack, and when McClain disappeared, Blackburn didn't even pretend to be surprised. The murder shook Gurdon to its core. It wasn't just a workplace fight, it was a brutal execution. Many believed Blackburn had snapped, but others whispered darker things, that something had changed him, that the tracks had done something to his mind, that he wasn't alone when he attacked. Something watched him, encouraged him. Will Blackburn was arrested, tried, and found guilty. He was sentenced to death and reportedly showed no remorse during the entire trial. When asked if he regretted anything, he simply said, "I just wanted quiet." On the day of his execution, it rained. Thunder rolled over the pine trees as the prison lights flickered. Some say it was a warning. Not long after Blackburn's execution, something strange started happening. People walking the old tracks late at night began seeing a light in the distance. At first, they thought it was a lantern, maybe from a worker or a lost traveler. But when they tried to approach it, the light would vanish or move further away, always just out of reach. As the sightings increased, word began to spread through Gurdon like wildfire. Teenagers dared each other to walk the tracks after dark. Locals warned them not to. Some claimed the light followed them. Others said it appeared above the tracks like it was floating, scanning, watching, waiting. Those who saw it once never forgot it. Witnesses described the light in chilling detail. It was the size of a human head, glowing white or blue, sometimes pulsing like a heartbeat. It would sway side to side the way a lantern might if someone were walking slowly through the darkness. But there was no sound, no footsteps, no person. Everyone who tried to approach it told the same story. The light moved away, slowly at first, like it wanted to lead them somewhere, but if they followed too far, it vanished entirely. Some people swore they heard faint cries as they chased it, like someone begging for help from far down the tracks. Here's the strangest part. The tracks where the light appears are no longer active. No trains, no electricity, no sources of light. And yet, The glow keeps returning, night after night. Locals began calling it McBride's Lantern, a name whispered with fear and respect. Even those who didn't believe in ghosts changed their minds after seeing the light. One night, a local pastor went searching for his runaway dog along the tracks. What he saw that night changed him forever. He told his congregation the next day, "There's something lost in those woods, and it doesn't know it's dead." While some encounters were quiet, even beautiful, others were terrifying. A group of teens reported being chased by the light. It moved unnaturally fast, darting between trees. One boy tripped and broke his arm. He said he felt something grab his leg before he fell. "It wanted me to stop," he whispered. "It didn't want me to leave." As years passed, the stories became darker. Some locals now refuse to go near the tracks, especially on stormy nights. They say the light is strongest when the weather is wild, almost as if the energy of the sky fuels it. Elders warn, if you see the light flicker 3 times, don't follow it. That means it wants you. By the 1980s, the Gurdon Light had drawn national attention. Paranormal teams came with cameras, meters, and thermal sensors. Some left disappointed. Others captured anomalies and strange energy spikes, unexplained cold spots, orbs of light moving through the trees. One camera recorded the light from a distance, but when they reviewed the footage, it disappeared frame by frame, as if erasing itself. Skeptics believe the light could be something explainable: swamp gas, car headlights from a distant road, or refracted electricity from nearby power lines. But Gurdon has no such layout. No roads line up. No swamp gases are active in that region, and the lights don't follow any pattern that science can explain. Today, Gurdon lives between 2 realities, the natural and the supernatural. Some people laugh off the light as local folklore, others won't speak about it at all. And then there are those who still walk the tracks at night, not to challenge the legend, but to feel close to something that was lost, a soul that never found its way home. 2 friends, Amy and Rachel, walked the tracks one October night in 1993. They were skeptics, just bored teenagers looking for a thrill, but halfway down the path, the light appeared, floating silently in front of them. At first they laughed, but then it flickered. Once, twice, 3 times. Amy's face went pale. Rachel said she felt something icy grip her hand. They ran and never returned. Many who witnessed the Gurdon Light describe something more than just a glowing orb. They speak of a presence, a heaviness that presses on the chest, like being underwater, or watched by something that can see your soul. Some even report hearing their own names whispered softly in the woods, as if the forest remembers them. Even law enforcement isn't immune. A retired sheriff once confessed in a local interview that he had seen the light while patrolling the area in the late 70s. He had been investigating a trespassing report. Instead, he saw the glowing ball drift past his squad car and vanish into the trees. "I don't believe in ghosts," he said, "but I know what I saw." Some claim the light comes and goes randomly. Others believe it follows a pattern, appearing most often near midnight, especially in winter. Paranormal investigators say the cold amplifies spiritual energy. In Gurdon, that chill settles deep in your bones, and if you wait long enough in silence, the light always comes back. One theory says the light is the ghost of Louis McBride still searching for justice, or his missing lantern. Some versions say his head was decapitated and never found, and the light represents his spirit wandering headless down the tracks, carrying an invisible signal, looking, searching forever. One man, a science teacher from Little Rock, visited with his teenage son to debunk the legend. He brought maps, compasses, and infrared cameras, but after 2 hours on the tracks, the light appeared, hovering directly behind his son. The man dropped his equipment and ran. He later said, "There's science, and then there's something else. It's not just the light. Sometimes people hear a low humming like a train engine, but the tracks have been abandoned for decades. There are no trains, and yet the sound builds slowly, like something coming down the line. Some even hear the rhythmic clack-clack of wheels, followed by silence." Several visitors have captured strange figures in photographs, blurry human-like shapes between trees where no person was standing. A paranormal YouTuber once live-streamed from the site. Viewers in the comments screamed that a shadow was standing behind him. He turned. No one was there, but his camera went black for 12 full seconds. There's another side effect no one talks about. People who see the light often have vivid nightmares in the nights that follow. Dreams of walking on endless tracks, chased by a light they cannot outrun. Waking up covered in sweat, unable to breathe, feeling like they never really left the forest. So what is the Gurdon Light really? A soul trapped in time? A spiritual warning to stay away? Or a curse passed on to anyone who dares to see it? The truth is, the light doesn't hurt everyone, but those it touches. It never forgets. It leaves something behind. A whisper, a flicker, a scar. In Gurdon, the story of the light is passed down like a family heirloom. Grandparents tell their grandchildren not to go near the tracks, not because they don't believe in it, but because they do. One local woman said her father saw the light in the 1960s, and her son saw it again in 2018. 3 generations, same glow, same terror. Along the tracks stands a twisted pine tree, stunted, with blackened bark and dead branches. Locals say grass never grows near it, and animals avoid it completely. Some believe it marks the exact spot where McBride was murdered. Others say that tree feeds off the energy the light leaves behind. In 2007, an amateur ghost hunter found part of a charred journal buried in the dirt near the tracks. It contained fragmented writings, shaking handwriting, phrases like, "The light watches me and my lantern is gone." Some believe the journal was written by McBride himself. Others think it's a hoax. But no one has claimed it. Many who try to document the Gurdon Light report their gear failing without reason. Batteries drain instantly. Cameras freeze. Compasses spin uncontrollably. Even cell phones show false timestamps or delete video files. It's as if the light doesn't want to be recorded, as if it chooses when to be seen and when to disappear. People believe the Gurdon Light has a memory, that it recognizes repeat visitors. One man returned 15 years after his first sighting just to show his teenage daughter. He stood on the same spot, and the light appeared within minutes. This time, it flickered violently. He collapsed moments later with a heart attack. He survived but never spoke of the light again. In 1998, a paranormal group from Louisiana noticed a disturbing pattern. The light seemed to appear most strongly near the anniversary of McBride's death, December 1931. The colder the night, the brighter the glow. Some researchers now call the week around that date the lantern window. A forest ranger who patrolled the area for 22 years once said, "I've only seen the light once. That was enough, but I've felt it many times." He described long walks where the wind felt still, and something was just behind him, breathing, waiting. It's like it doesn't want to be seen every time, but it wants you to know it's there. One story, passed around in town bars and schoolyards, tells of a young girl who disappeared in the 1970s after going to the tracks alone. Her body was never found. But on certain nights, just before the light appears, people hear giggles, soft, innocent, and tragically out of place. They call her the girl before the glow. A documentary filmmaker once came to Gurdon to prove the story false. He mocked the locals, laughed during interviews, and spent 3 nights alone on the tracks. On the 4th day, he packed his things and left without a word. Months later, in an obscure podcast interview, he said, "The light didn't scare me. What scared me was how it knew who I was." By now, most people agree. The Gurdon Light isn't just a haunting. It's not just a ghost. It's a memory given form. A tragedy too loud to be forgotten. Whether it's McBride or something darker, no one knows for sure. But one thing is certain. The tracks are no longer silent. Some say the light doesn't stop at the tracks, that it follows you home, not physically but in your dreams. One woman recalled waking up night after night to the sound of gravel crunching under invisible feet, just outside her window. Another dreamt of standing on the tracks surrounded by glowing orbs, hearing someone whisper, "Come with me." A strange trend has emerged. Those who've had the most intense experiences with the Gurdon Light rarely speak about it. They become withdrawn, quiet. One boy who vanished for 3 hours near the tracks was found curled up under a tree, eyes wide, shaking. When asked what happened, he whispered, "I saw inside it. It sees everything." In 2004, a physicist from Texas tried to analyze the Gurdon Light with high-end equipment. He returned with readings he couldn't explain. Magnetic fields where none should exist. Bursts of infrared heat that vanished mid-recording. And an image capture, one that looked like a man holding a lantern, but with no facial features. He never published his findings. Several witnesses have reported missing time after seeing the light. A couple walked the tracks for what they thought was 15 minutes. When they returned to their car, over 2 hours had passed. Their watches had stopped. Their phones were dead. But both had the same strange thought. It felt like someone didn't want us to leave. Local teens sometimes leave behind candles or railroad nails on the tracks as a kind of offering. Some think it keeps the light away. Others say it makes it come closer. One kid claimed he left an old lantern behind just for fun. A week later, it was back on his front porch, cracked, blackened, and still warm. There have been reports, rare but chilling, of the light making sound, a faint sobbing, distant and distorted, like someone lost in the woods calling out for help. Paranormal researchers believe this could be a spiritual echo, grief trapped in time. If true, it means the light isn't angry. It's mourning. Near the oldest part of the forest lies a grave marked only by a flat stone. No name, no date, just a crude railroad spike driven into the soil. Some say it belongs to McBride. Others claim it's where Blackburn's soul was buried, not his body, but whatever humanity he lost that night. The air around it? Always cold. On rare occasions, multiple lights have appeared, drifting in silence, circling the woods. One hiker described them as watching each other, like they were waiting to agree on something. That same night, a power outage swept the entire town. Some believe there's more than one soul out there now. And the tracks are where they gather. Whether it's a ghost, an energy echo, or a cursed memory, the Gurdon Light is more than a local legend. It's a wound that never closed. A tragedy too heavy for the earth to bury. And each time that light flickers to life in the darkness, it's not just seen, it's felt. In the chest, in the bones, in the soul. If you ever find yourself in Gurdon, Arkansas, and the night is quiet, walk carefully. Because somewhere in the trees between rusted tracks and pine shadows, a light is waiting, not to scare you, not even to hurt you, just to remind you that some stories never end, and some lanterns never go out. Some say it's just a trick of the light, but ask anyone who's seen it and they'll tell you it's something else, something old, something watching. This is the Gurdon Light.